told her we did not get the purple memo. We did not. But we are here, though, tonight. Lily Zhao, I'm Brandon Cruz. Tim Van Voren is in Denver with the Broncos as they just wrapped up preseason game number 2. And let's start with tonight's starting lineup. The Brewers head into the final quarter of the season with more separation. The Packers are reserved in their matchup with the Broncos. And a Packers defensive back makes us say what after his return to practice. Plus, it's a family tradition that has our high school hotshots shining tonight. Well, the Brewers are looking so good with so few games left. They've hit the final quarter pole, Lily. They win and sweep the Guardians today, now lead their division by 11 games. What was so big about this weekend taking 3 from the Guardians?
When you look at the week, right, it was a 10-game homestand, and you look at the opponents, the Dodgers and the Guardians, teams that are going to be contending in the playoffs, and you're thinking this is kind of a make it or break it week for the Brewers. What do? They split the series with the Dodgers, and they sweep the Guardians. It was an impressive weekend at American Family Field for the Brewers. I think what was key, though, was just getting those last 2 wins against the Dodgers, right? It was a feeling of we can compete with a team like the Dodgers with their massive payroll, their big name stars, and hey, we took 2 out of 4 from LA. And then you go into the next series, the team with the best record in the majors coming into Milwaukee, and what do against Cleveland? They sweep them. I think it was the timely hitting, the really good pitching, but also just the patience of this team to know we can win, and we proved it, and that's what allowed them to win 10 of their last 13 games. Well,
and you mentioned the pitching. On Sunday, the pitching by Colin Ray was so impressive. At one point, we had a no-hitter watch out there.
We did, yeah. We was going into the 6th inning, and then he gave up back-to-back hits. But Colin Ray has been so impressive, right? You want length in that bullpen. You want length with your starting pitchers, and that's what Colin Ray gave this team today. And we've seen him do it multiple times this season. He goes deep into a game, and he gave up 7 scoreless, or he pitches 7 scoreless, I should say, against the Guardians, and he was super impressive. And what he was able to do to kind of give some guys in that bullpen more relief, I think was also key. But you look at what he did, Aaron Savali as well, and Freddie Peralta over the weekend. I mean, those guys were key, Brandon, to them getting that sweep.
Yeah, we have been talking about Tobias Myers being an ace. I mean, Colin Ray is hard to argue with. He now has 11 wins as a starter. Now, on the back end of this bullpen, we saw the emergence and the return of Devin Williams this week, and it showed how big he is to this bullpen and to this team.
Right, and I think that was key, right? It was what would this team look like with their ace closer back, and they looked good. I mean, Devin Williams came in, and it was boom, 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 out, 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 and then he goes through the heart of the order as well, so that was also impressive, but it looked like he really didn't miss a beat after missing the last couple of months after dealing with those back spasms and getting surgery. So I think Devin Williams is right where he wants to be. The velocity will certainly improve, but what he's been able to do for the Brewers and get these save opportunities and get the saves has been really important. And Brandon, also just talking about the importance of this team, right? They're young. Jackson Churio, also a big contributor this weekend as well, and he's also just kind of caught fire the last month or so.
Yeah, 20 years old and really impressive. And Devin Williams saves. He gets out Shohei Ohtani. He takes care of Mookie Betts and then Freddie Freeman on consecutive days. I mean, really quite impressive with the Brewers as they now get a break on Monday, but they have an 11-game lead in the division, and they head to St. Louis for a series on Tuesday. Now let's take a look at what's happening now in the second half. And that, of course, is the Broncos beating up on the Packers tonight in Game 2. Quickly, what did you see in this one?
It was the fact that, it was a tough joint practice, right? And then we were saying, is that going to carry over into the second preseason game? Obviously, the starters didn't play, and so we kind of got to see Sean Clifford, Michael Pratt, those backup quarterbacks go up against the starters. That should be Sean Clifford, I should say, go against the Broncos starters. And then the question now lingers of, is there a backup quarterback issue? We'll see if that kind of carries on to their preseason finale. Kind of saw, the kickers as well kind of struggle and not get that many opportunities as well. But it kind of was a learning experience, a learning week for the Green Bay Packers at Mile High, just to know that, listen, there's still a lot of work. Yes, a lot of eyeballs were on us in that in our first preseason game where we played well, but it doesn't get easier, and there's a lot of roster spots that these young guys want, and they got to play better next week.
Yeah, almost all of the starters sitting this one out, taking part in the practice on Friday. That's where they got their work in. Tonight it was the reserves, and they really struggled against the Broncos. Tim Van Voren has been out in Denver, and he has more tonight.
Well, the game on Sunday night, really maybe the extended stay for the Packers, a Rocky Mountain low. Denver's a nice place to be in the late summer, but Green Bay doesn't take a tremendous amount of advantage of that. The preseason game, Green Bay holding out 31 players, predominantly the top players. So there's no shame in losing a game, but you only scored 2 points. Those come from the defense. Matt LaFleur, you could see him just sort of doing a slow burn on the sidelines. He does not like offensive inefficiency. He does not like the loss of focus. People were giving him a lot more room as the game went along. A wide berth around the head coach. He's not going to be very happy after this game for sure. As for the practice going back to Friday, the Broncos had the upper hand by most measures in that as well. So the Packers come out here after looking good in their preseason over against Cleveland and don't really look their best. The backup quarterbacks certainly on Sunday night are going to be in for criticism, Sean Clifford, Michael Pratt. But Jordan Love in the joint practices wasn't particularly sharp either. The Broncos defensive backs had their hands on a lot of footballs, no matter who the Packer quarterback was, in this stretch out here in the Rockies. So by and large, it's kind of a lost stretch here for the Packers, unless they don't do something with it. They can go back, they can build. They have the Ravens coming in next week for joint practices. It's going to be a short week after a Sunday night preseason game. That's a little rare. So it's a short week, and most people are expecting it's going to be an important week for the Packers before they wrap up their preseason against the Ravens. So a loss with only 2 points scored by the Packers on Sunday night in Denver, 27-2. Stay tuned for all kinds of reaction as the Packers will be putting it back together heading into next week.
All right, Tim Van Voren, Adam Powerfield at Mile High tonight. And as we wrap up what the Packers did, what do you think of this upcoming week for the Packers? How big is that? Because it's 9 days until cut day.
Right. There's going to be a lot of guys that are hopefully going to be finding homes elsewhere, or, they get cut. That's the reality of the NFL. But I think they got to play better. We have to figure out what's his backup quarterback battle look like for sure. What's the kicking battle look like? I think the offensive tackle position also needs some depth there as well. So we'll see if they can kind of get that fortified in the next week and a half before those cuts do come and we figure out the initial 53-man roster. But a lot of work has to be done, Brandon, because Matt LaFleur not happy with his performance today. They need to have a better showing in week 3.
Yeah, and that is against the Ravens at home, their only home preseason game this year. Well, it was Players Weekend in Major League Baseball, and while he wasn't playing, Christian Yelich was honoring Bob Uecker with his bats. He had Ueck's face on it, his famous home run call, and even Harry Doyle's Just a Bit Outside, memorialized on the unique Louisville Sluggers. And staying with the Brewers, it was a special day on Sunday as the kid gets honored. 50 years ago this year, Robin Yount made his major league debut and would spend the next 20 years leading the Brewers and earning his way into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, he guts out the appearance by throwing out the first pitch left-handed to his grandson because he's recovering from rotator cuff surgery. Quite impressive and always a fan favorite. I think he is the most beloved Brewer of all time. Well, coming up, Say What? We'll be right back.
Do I vote? I don't even know if I vote for her.
You really want to ask that question out of the gate?
I just like getting people's attention with something.
My significant other thinks he's sexy, so.
Wow. That was interesting. Was that Taylor Swift?
Right now they got me locked up, you know what I'm saying? And then they gave me Indy, so I said, look, they let me off. I'm on parole. I'm on house arrest.
Welcome back to the FOX6 Sports Blitz. There's Packers cornerback Carrington Valentine talking about, he's rehabbing a hamstring injury and doing individual workouts. The Packers are trying to hold him back so he doesn't really re-injure himself as the preseason rolls around. Packers obviously in Denver and in Powerfield at Mile High. They fall 27-2 in their second preseason game. That's where our Tim Van Voren is right now. But Brandon, when you're looking at the second preseason game, I think a lot of talk was obviously the starters were not playing. 31 players didn't play for the Green Bay Packers, including Jordan Love and the offensive starters. That question was that backup quarterback battle. What'd you see out of there?
Not a lot. In fact, it was a struggle for both quarterbacks, and it was one of those things that was really kind of glaring because you either had guys holding the ball too long or maybe holding on to maybe a receiver too long in his route, and it just became a frustrating night on all ends, and you could tell by the reaction of Matt LaFleur coming out of halftime how frustrated he was with his offense, and that was primarily on his quarterbacks. Let's hear from both of them, and we'll start with Sean Clifford.
A lot to work on, that's for sure. Just definitely humbled today. Just did not make the plays when they were there. Just a lot of opportunities just missed today. Just got to be better. I pride myself on making those plays, especially in critical moments, third downs, and just wasn't able to convert. So lots to work on. Head held high though. but lots to work on.
They had higher profile defensive guys maybe than your offensive unit. Is that it? It doesn't matter?
No, that doesn't matter to me. I mean, the fact of the matter is we're playing the Broncos, and Packers are playing the Broncos, and we need to be able to move the ball down the field. And ultimately, that falls on me, and I take full responsibility, especially the first half. And I was really excited about having my first start, and this is not the way that you dream it up. But at the end of the day, just going to continue to get better, continue to work, look at the film, be very, very critical, and yeah, just get better.
How was your head coach, who does not like offensive inefficiency, tonight, and maybe in relation to the joint practice as well?
Yeah, I mean, he expressed that at the end of the day, this joint practice we needed to step it up, and then carry that into the game with a little bit of fuel, and just thought that there was too many missed opportunities, and I'm going to look internally every single time. So too many from me, and just can't happen. So yeah, he's frustrated, and ultimately that's understandable because he wants to win as much as I do. So
on the personal level, you get a lot of practice reps, but there's only so many of these games. With Jordan as the starter, you never know how many in-game reps you'll get. When it goes like it does today, what level of frustration is that in a wasted opportunity?
Not a wasted opportunity. Let's just get that clear. No opportunity is a wasted opportunity. So only a wasted opportunity if you don't learn from the mistakes that you made. So we're going to look at this film, like I said, very critically, make sure that not leaving any stone unturned and going to get better. That's for sure.
I started with this question to Sean, so I'll do the same to you. How do you walk out of here from an offensive leadership standpoint and as an individual quarterback after today?
Yeah, we got to get back, watch the film, see where we can improve. There's a lot of stuff out there, missed opportunities, but just not a good display for the offense tonight.
I'm surprised it's kind of a weird emotion, but you guys had been clicking so well last week and through camp. It had been coming along. Didn't look like this was coming. The joint practice and then tonight. How do you assess that?
Yeah, I just think we came out flat. All across the board, and that starts with us as the quarterbacks, and we got to get the guys going. We got to be able to operate better, have more urgency, and just comes down to the leadership part of it.
How do you make this next week count now? Because the whole offense really kind of wants to get it footed back before the games start to matter.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we got to get back. We got to see the film. Like I said, we had opportunities. We just got to make them happen, and that's going to start on practice, watching the film, and just got to improve.
You had opportunities, but you're also going against a top defense with playing a lot of their starters, at least in the first half. Does that matter, or is it our team against your team?
I think it plays somewhat of a factor, but I don't think it's an excuse because I think there were opportunities there, and we just didn't hit them. And that's what it comes down to. We got to make them count when they're there, and we didn't.
Yeah, tough night for them. The offense scoring 0 points. The only points coming in this one come via the defense in the second half in a game that was already pretty much one-sided.
Right, and at that point, you're kind of evaluating just the player talent, who can contribute on special teams, who's going to make an impact on defense, maybe towards the fringe end of the roster. And, guys are trying to step up and make their names known, right? And Zach Morton certainly was a guy who, again, got the safety, that sack in the end zone that got the Packers the only 2 points that they did score on the night. So let's hear from Zach Morton on a big night from Denver.
I was just kind of doing what I was coached to do and trusting in the game plan, and it worked out in my favor.
How does opportunity? You guys are here for opportunity. You in particular, just getting here.
Yeah.
How big are these games in general? And then when you do something, how satisfying is that? Even though in the grand scheme, there wasn't a whole lot.
As an undrafted guy, the preseason means everything. So I treat it like it's honestly my Super Bowl. So I just try to go out there and, do what I can do. I know everybody's watching. So, it definitely pays off.
When's the last time you got a safety, you personally?
The last time I got a safety, I don't think, maybe high school. Maybe high school. I didn't get one in college.
Definitely it's your Super Bowl. So when you treat it like your Super Bowl and you get the biggest play for your team on the day, how does that feel?
It honestly feels great, and it's like, just trusting. I was doing my 111th, and all the other 10 players on defense did their part, so I could do mine. So,
what's this week been like for you? You literally signed. You take a trip. You come out here. You're playing a football game at altitude.
That's how this league is, man. It's a fast turnaround. You got to be ready at all times to just get dressed and play football. So that's exactly what it was.
And that's what you want to hear, right? Guys saying this is my Super Bowl, because for undrafted guys, again, guys kind of on the fringe of the roster, they're trying to do everything they can, Brandon, to make an impact, to say this is why you want me on your 53-man roster. And plays like that Zach Morton made certainly are valuable for his resume, whether it's for the Packers or for a different team.
Yeah, and it is interesting. These games are overall battles, but so many individual battles, because you're trying to claim that spot. You're trying to be one of 53 in 9 days when they make that final roster. And he made a claim, and like Tim asked him, I mean, he hasn't been there long at all. I mean, maybe long enough for a cup of coffee, yet he makes the biggest play of the night, and the defense was the only side to really show any bright plays. There was an interception in this game as well.
Yeah, and sacks as well. And that's what you want to see, right, from these guys who just want to make an impact play, just to affect the game in some sort of way. And we'll see if they can carry on in their preseason finale at Lambeau Field.
All right, our high school hotshot is next. Stay with us.
Welcome back. As a multi-sport athlete, she understands the value of hard work and perseverance. And she's also looking to continue a family legacy that's dear to her heart. Here's this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
Hi, my name is Courtney Rathke. I'm a Random Lake graduate and I show beef cattle. So we're at the Wisconsin State Fair. I have a heifer, her name is Montana. She's a purebred Angus. We're best friends, she's my little buddy. Today I got reserve 18-year-old showman with her, so we're kind of a good team. I've been in 4-H for 11 years. I've just always been in the cattle world. My family raised cattle, just keeping the tradition going. My earliest memory was my first year showing, and we raised a steer, and I showed him at the fair, and his name was Bugsy, because he had these just big bug eyes. And I won showmanship with that at my county fair, so that kind of inspired me to want to do better. So at my county fair, I've won grand champion once with my steer, and then I've won reserve steer 3 times. And I've won heifer supreme champion, I think, 5 times. So this one I made, I used to be in jewelry project in 4-H, so I got really into making my own jewelry. Bracelets, rings, earrings, anything. Last year at State Fair, I was the grand champion Angus heifer in the open show, and that meant a lot to me because my grandpa and my grandma have always raised Angus, and Angus is their breed. And this past year at Angus Junior Nationals, I got to compete in showmanship and I made top 15. And my grandpa said he was proud of me, and that just melted me. I started crying. So I was in cross country from my sophomore year to senior year, and I did that to get in shape for basketball, which is my main sport. And I did track a couple times. You practice all the time, just like you would in basketball or any sport. Some people consider me spoiled, but I do put the work in. Next fall, I'll be at UW Green Bay at Sheboygan. So I'm gonna get my associate degree, and then I'm gonna transfer falls to get a bachelor's in animal science with an emphasis in meat, because I wanna go to school to be a butcher and meat processor. My name is Courtney Rathke. I'm a Random Lake graduate, and I've been showing beef at the Wisconsin State Fair for 6 years. And I'm this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
On top of that, Courtney has utilized all the opportunities that 4-H offers. She served as club president, won a public speaking competition, and has received a scholarship. One of her goals will be looking for ways to support future 4-H kids as well. That's great. Meanwhile, believe it or not, the high school football season kicks off this Thursday. And here's our first Fox 6 High School Blitz game of the week. I'll be at Arrowhead as the Warhawks take on the defending Division I champs Marquette. Tune into the high school Blitz Friday night with Brandon Cruz on Fox 6 News at 10. We'll be right back.
All right, it's an important week ahead for the Packers. Back home for practice Tuesday and Thursday with the Ravens, joining them on Thursday in their preseason finale Saturday against Baltimore.
And guess what? High school football returns Thursday night all around Wisconsin. Also games Friday as well. We're going to have our Fox 6 High School Blitz, so make sure you tune into that as well. Meanwhile, the Brewers get Monday off before they hit the road for a 6-game road series against the Cardinals and the Athletics. We'll see, Brandon, if that NL Central lead grows after Thursday.
Yeah, 11 games. They could stretch that to 14. It'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week as we dig deep into the Packers. Have a great week.